Welcome to Wild, Women in Lending Determined to Make an Impact. I'm your host, Robyn LaVassaur. They say our biggest fear isn't being inadequate. It's being powerful beyond measure. In this podcast, I will share how to break through imaginary ceilings, lean into success, discovering your purpose, and understanding how to create the business and life of your dreams. From failures to triumphs and all the tactics in between, let's jump into the wild arena together. Welcome back to Wild with Robyn LaVassaur. Is it possible? Is it possible to be in a competitive, commission-based, high activity, high commitment sales job and as a woman, I would say even as a man, be a great parent? Is it possible? I'll tell you what, I believed the answer was yes to a point. For years, I thought, yes, it's possible, but only to a certain level. And so I'll give you a little bit of a story. When I first found the company that I'm at now, by chance, I sat down with the owner and he was asking us all these questions. And it's super funny because I hear constantly from loan officers the answers that I gave all those years ago, 14 years ago. And that was, hey, I'm doing really well at the end of the day. My best year ever was 52 units, which is a great year. I'm not downplaying that. I was making over six figures with very different loan amounts at that time. So you can imagine, right? I was doing well, and I'll never trivialize that success or that money. But the truth is, I wasn't doing well. I wasn't feeling good at all about the business. I was doing this, right? The ups and the downs of a roller coaster. And I felt like the business was a bit of a mess. My parenting was a mess. My present time and engagement with my kids, my marriage, while all were good, nothing was great. And it was certainly at best inconsistent, a roller coaster ride. And so what I believed to be true was that around that 52 units was my max. And at that, I was sacrificing to a certain degree being a great wife and a great mom. And I wasn't willing to sacrifice anymore. And so I said things, and I want you to ask yourself if you said these things. I'm good with how many units I'm doing. I don't want to do more units. I want to work less hours. I was doing a lot of or, not and. So Todd said, what would it look like? What would it look like to you if you could work? Let's be crazy. Let's say you could close 400 units in a year, be a great mom, and work 40, 45 hours a week. How many hours a week are you working right now? And I was like, I don't know, like maybe 50, 60. I have no idea, right? Because in sales, in general, competitive industry, we're answering our phone, we're checking our email. We're very attracted to the next call and the taking care of the clients. And our livelihood depends on it. Therefore, we justify all the time, I'm doing this for them. And while that's true, there's a line, if you will, that actually leads to, if I'm being honest with myself, if I'm really looking in the mirror, I'm doing this also not only for, yes, the financial gains, if you will. That's why we all go to work every single day. There's nothing wrong with that. And it doesn't discount how much we care about the business, care about the people. But gosh, I'm also doing this for my own ego. Right? I'm doing this for meaning that at some point, if you're closing plenty of loans, but you just want to work more and more and more and more and more, and you're working 60 plus hours, at some point, it is just about you. And so Todd said, what if you could do those 400 loans, 40, 45 hours a week, have a thriving marriage, and feel absolutely fantastic about your relationship with your children? And my immediate thought was, yeah, that would be great, but it's not possible. And boy, was I wrong. The truth is, I had to get rid of the doubt right then and there and say, it's not an or, it's an and. And so how do you do that? And how do you deal with the quote unquote guilt? Well, here's what I will tell you. First of all, you need to define the definition of a great mom, if you're a mom, great dad, if you're a dad, great loan officer, if you're a loan officer, great loan officer / branch manager, if you're that. Great. What is your definition? Because one of the biggest issues that we have is we let the world tell us their definition, and then we try to meet it, or we have guilt around not meeting or exceeding the definition that we're watching externally. It's not about that. How do you feel internally, all the way down in your gut? How do you feel about your relationships? How do you feel about your connections? And that is both in business and how you're behaving while you're in your work mode, work hat, and at home, whether it is as a partner or it's as a parent. And so one of the things that I was doing was I was allowing previous definitions, if you will, of, have you ever had somebody be like, oh, I don't let my kids do that. I don't let my kids watch TV. And all of a sudden you start feeling like maybe I'm a bad mom because my kids do watch TV. Maybe not all the time, but oh, well, I do, but only, and all of a sudden we're trying to make everybody else happy instead of defining, hey, what are my priorities and who does it really matter? Who does it really matter for and with? So what I realized was that once I defined that, and yes, worked, it's a whole nother podcast to talk about the work that I did in my business to get there. I was consistently closing over 400 units a year, working 40 to 45 hours. Now, there are weeks when you work 50, 60 because of a circumstance, because things change. There are also weeks that you're at a soccer tournament or you're off and you're not at work as much because you're with the kids. That's part of life. Where we get lost in general is trying to meet other people's definitions, right? Oh, all of these parents are volunteering in the classroom or they're baking all the goodies. I will tell you what, I paid an assistant to do my kids' prom posters in high school that says, will you go with me, and all of those things for our boys. And I've, senior posters, and I literally had an assistant do it. Why? Not because I don't love my kids, not because I personally didn't want to be the one to do the work. I'm not good at it. I don't have a crafty bone in my body. So I needed and was able to, because of the work that I do, delegate and allow for things to still get done. At the end of the day, do your kids ever look at you and say, I'm not eating this unless you cooked it? I'm not having a great time at a concert unless you're standing right next to me. Or, hey, I enjoyed the heck out of this, but I'll be mad if you go to work tomorrow now that we've been spending some time together. The answer truly is no to all of it. And I think what we underestimate is our own beliefs, our own definitions, and then not letting the external world dictate how we feel about what we're doing and why we're doing it and how we're doing it. And this sweatshirt, ironically, for this topic today is so great because it says, blessed, not lucky. And I think that as I started to excel in my career, people would go, oh gosh, you're so lucky. Or, oh gosh, you work so, you are working so much. Well, what's their definition of so much? Maybe that was somebody that works part-time and I work full-time and they're like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you are, at work all day and then come home and take care of things here. And the truth is, if I let that definition scare me, I might be like, well, I came home and I didn't make the same gourmet dinner that maybe you made. And therein sets the guilt and the doubt and the frustration and the discord, if you will, that we have. And so what I would say out loud is that the harmony in your life is really incumbent upon just you and your direct circle of impact, your direct circle. So when I think if I had to pick the most important people in my life as far as who my decisions impacted, I think myself, my husband, and my 5 children. That's my immediate. Now, does that mean I don't love my mom and dad or my sisters or my cousins or my best friends or those people? No, but when I'm making decisions, it starts with my first circle, then maybe expands to the next circle. And at some point, I can't worry about the rest because at least I've made decisions that impacted this right here. And so when I gain alignment with myself, when I'm in harmony with my choices and my decisions, when on occasion I get out of alignment and have to apologize to those that I've impacted, I correct myself in I have been working too much and I need to get that under control, or I have been off too much and I need to get my butt to that office and do more work. The truth is, it's all just owning within yourself who you are, who you want to be. And when you are in each space, be there, be all there. When you are with your children at the dinner table, be all there. Where you feel bad is if you're thinking about work the whole time they're talking. If you are picking up your phone and returning an email and returning a phone call every time they want your attention. That's when you feel bad. But if instead you say, right now I'm at home, I'll check my phone when my kids go off to do, things and aren't going to need me. I'm going to spend 30 minutes right now having dinner and great talk and all those things. And then guess what? Nobody sits around every single night as a family and stares at each other and that considers that time together. But you might have dinner and play a quick game of Uno or Yahtzee and then send everybody off to do their showers and give yourself 20 minutes to check your phone and take care of a couple things. That's okay. The point is, there's not a perfect recipe. It's your recipe. And you need to check in not only with yourself, but check in with your kids and check in with your significant other, if there is one, spouse, and ultimately make sure that the circle you're impacting the very most with the decisions that you're making, that everybody understands. And a lot of circumstances are temporary. You might need to have, I was just off for a week and a half for family circumstances. I had to shut down work hard. Then I came back in. Everything is circumstantial at any given time, and you have to let yourself off the hook that you can be all things to all people in all places at all times and do it at the very highest level. That's not humanity. That's not life in general. So know that, hey, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to be my best self when I'm there. I'm going to come home and be fabulous. And once in a while I'm at work, I'm going to be in home mode. And while I'm at home, I'm going to be in work mode. But that's going to be as minimal as possible. And I'm going to be as harmonious as I can with my decision making. And I'm going to let go of the preconceived notion it's one or the other, rather than an and a both. And if I ask for help, I ask for guidance, I'm willing to be coachable, I'm willing to open myself up, both my mind and my heart, right? Then everything is ultimately figure outable. It is possible to do all of those things and be harmonious in all of the decisions and all the roles you play. If this episode was helpful, I hope you share it. We'll see you on the next Wild.